over the last 30, 40 years, we've deluded ourselves by essentially outsourcing good jobs to cheaper places and creating massive numbers of what are basically rotten jobs. People are living with insecurity, paycheck to paycheck, unsteady schedules. If the minimum wage today were what it had been in terms of standard of living and purchasing power in 1975, people would be paid $48 an hour. I mean, that's the gap that we're looking at. Yeah. So, so my friend Zeynep Tom has done some research that I think really echoes what you said, which is she wrote a wonderful book called The Good Job Strategy. And what she said is, if you combine good jobs with really well-developed organizational systems, the productivity increase. Now, a lot of her work's been misread because certain people have said the and everything's going to be great, but to your point, that's not enough. So you have to have that. And Zeynep's an operations professor. She's not an HR person. She came to this conclusion through her work on organizational systems, not human ones. But that's her fundamental input. And she's got a great institute called the Good Jobs Institute. But I'll also call on some work I did years ago on how sophisticated HR systems work. And I did this with a colleague, Marianne Cook, back in the day. And she had this incredible data set of what she called sophisticated to less sophisticated organizational practices. And unusually for someone studying human systems, she also had performance data for this huge number of firms that were in this study. And we partnered on the study because I kind of did the strategy piece since she sort of did the people piece. And here's what we expected to find. A complex of training, development, defined career paths, careful succession planning, a list of kind of what was at the time considered to be best practices in HR. And we came up with a composite measure. And so what we expected to find was heavily HR dependent organizations would have a greater performance impact from sophisticated sophisticated HR systems. We could not have been more wrong. What we found instead, and I think this speaks to your study, is asset-intensive companies were actually the ones that experienced far greater performance effects. And this really, when your total hypothesis is completely unproven, it's kind of a learning moment, right? And so we got to thinking, and I said, I've got it. I know why this is happening. Think of the Exxon Valdez, one person, who hasn't been alert or, doesn't have backups, or the chain of command is weak, or whatever it is, one person can create a disaster because they're so heavily leveraged with assets. The responsibility is so incredible. And that really got me to thinking, to your point, the organization is the thing that leverages that human talent.